we said, look, what will be interesting is these guys don't know each other. And they have really no idea of who they are together. You know, they've never been in any kind of a situation. They saw each other in passing. And they're together in this job. So they're always finding out about each other, everything they do. You know, the discovery, it's always about discovering. So it was a really interesting idea. And one time, there was a scene. We had rehearsed, because Sidney Lumet likes to rehearse, which is good, especially with a play that has, a movie that has so much dialogue and so complicated. So anyway, we were doing a scene, and John has to say in the scene, because the guy on television says, there's two homosexuals holding up this bank. And John has a line where he says, I'm not a homosexual. And he was in trouble with that. And John said, I'm not homosexual. He says, what do I mean but when I say that? Why do I say that? Well, Sidney Lumet, being a scholar and a great talent and an intellectual and smarter than anybody I've ever met, he was a whiz kid, Sidney Lumet. Started explaining to him why he says it. Excuse me, my neck. Started explaining to him why he says it. And I knew it was over. I knew we weren't going to work for a while. And I just started pacing in the back, because I work with John. And John says he loved to ask questions, because he taught me about asking questions and not having to answer them. That's the beauty. You ask a question about something, but you don't have to have an answer. What's wonderful about it is you open the door to things. You have the variables now that you've asked the question. And so there was Sidney talking to him and saying, well, you know what I mean? And then finally, he said to John, you say it because it's written, and I'm telling you, as the director, you have to say it. And John said, well, you should have told me that in the first place. I would have.